I always often quote this that all behavior is belief driven. First major cause of death in India is heart attacks. The best time to do something was yesterday. The next best time is today. I keep telling people that your foundation of a better health or longevity starts with sleep. Cholesterol plays a role in hormone development. Osteoporosis, which is a disease of the bones, 75% happens in women. I will tell people eat less sugar, eat less often.
Author, public speaker, and a longevity biohacker from Stanford School of Medicine, helping us stay fit and active. Our guest today on the Settle or Be Better podcast is Mr. Prashant Desai, who's going to be talking to us about longevity, biohacking, and a lot more. So, welcome, Mr. Prashant, and over to you. Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your personal health and well being story and your current work?
Thank you so much, Sakshi, for having me. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be here.
So, I am a finance professional, otherwise, I am a chartered accountant. I work for a private equity firm. But my journey into health, there is a personal story to this. So, when I was 7 years, I lost my father to an heart ailment. And I would have, if I reflect back on my life, all the pain, all the yucky feelings, a lot of that has to do with the fact that didn't have my father growing up. And such was its impact that I used to have a lot of nightmares growing up in terms of, I will die soon, like my father. I may not be there for my daughter, so on and so forth. And it was only around 30 to 33 years of life where I began to little bit understand and realize maybe I will live longer than my dad. Could be there for my daughter. And as luck would have it, in 2014, I lost my brother. My brother was 35 years, his daughter's 2 years. And I guess the nightmares came back. And I think since then I've been very clear that I will want to live longer for my daughters. And for that, one needs to be a lot more healthier. I always knew I wanted to live longer, but I did not know how. And one thing led to the other. And finally during COVID, through Peter Diamandis at Singularity University, I heard the term longevity, which somewhere kind of started to you know uh, help me figure out my how. For the first time, somebody coined the word longevity. And I got to learn about it. And after that, last 4 years has been a enthralling ride, taking me deeper and deeper into understanding why we humans age at a biological level. Why do we don't have to? What are the things that we can do to slow down the aging process in order to live longer, and so on and so forth. So that's been my journey, which took me to Stanford to do three courses with Stanford. One was on nutritional science, one was on exercise physiology, and one was on your gut microbiome and gut health. Then I went to Harvard. I did a course on lifestyle medicine from Harvard to dial up not just exercise nutrition, but a 360-degree wellness piece. I have also, recently completed a course on glucose, everything to do with blood glucose. So yes, I'm in the journey to learn and implement.
That's amazing to know and to see someone take an initiative, take up a new learning all over again at a much later point in life, right? Like, that's amazing because we've had a lot of speakers who talk about longevity and biohacking, right? But it's a complete different dynamic when we see someone from India, in India, doing this and talking about this and leading by example, because just the topic of longevity is quite alien to a lot of us, right? I mean, this is, I mean, anyways, it's a very new topic and we are still getting introduced to it. But even if I ask my friends who are in their 20s that, how long do you think you're going to live for? If, nothing goes wrong, there are no accidents, there are no mishaps. They would very lightly say, late 60s and 70s, and that's it, because that's a perception. And we have, in fact, seen so many people in our family, die with heart disease or something else, or like, live with diabetes for years, right? And we feel like it's normal to just live until we're 60 and 17, that's it. But there's so much more that we can do, and it's really amazing to see how you are voicing it through your work. It's really brilliant. So thank you for being here and sharing that story with us. And to begin with, how did that perception change for you? Because you said like it's been the last 4 5 years since you've been into this, right? And I mean, to change this complete perception on health, well-being, and longevity at this stage in life is very difficult, because people after 40, after 50, find it very difficult to change their ways when it comes to nutrition, particularly. I mean, if you've been eating a certain way for all these years as a tradition, or as your family has been telling you to, it's very difficult to change that. So how did it work for you? Were there some major changes that you started making in your life, or just some small things to ease into it?
So great questions, Sakshi. First, I think for anything, I always often quote this, that all behavior is belief driven. Believe you can, believe you can't. Either ways, you are right. Henry Ford said that. So I guess if your why is strong, I think not only will you figure out the how, but you will also implement some of those things because your why is very strong. I will give a lot of credit to my why. The fact that I lost my father and my brother, the fact that I wanted to live longer, or I want to live longer for my daughters, is a very very strong motivator for me. And then when you start double clicking on each of these, that yeah, if you really want to live longer, there are certain changes that you will need to make if you want to live longer. And there, I would always say, science has been my friend. Behind me, you see a lot of books I love to read. Um, and hence, what happens is, because when you lose your father and your brother very early, one of the things is you lose faith in God. I don't believe in God. And then you need a certain other anchor in your life to around which you can construct your life. For me, that anchor has always been science, rationality, and hence for me a lot of things changed when I started deeper and started understanding the science and why we age and why we don't have to age. And very interesting things that you just brought out in your remark, Sakshi, the fact that, and whenever I go on corporate events and speak at sessions, and I ask everybody that how long do you want to live. And you are right. Very few hands, kind of get up when I tell them that do you want to live till 100. And you are right again that when you ask them why don't you want to live to 100, because everybody has somebody in their family who is maybe in their early 70s, late 60s, who has some kind of a disease or a disability. And when you see that, you don't feel like wanting to live longer. And then I kind of throw up a very interesting question to them, again coming from my own life. And I asked them, how many of you over here sitting will you die for your kids? And almost 100% of the hands go up. Everybody is willing to sacrifice their life for their children. And then I asked them a follow on question, how many of you are willing to live longer for your kids? And that kind of, it just clicks to people that at some level I am making sense, right? There is this movie, I am a big Hindi movie fan, uh, in Border. This is the old Sunny Deol. And a soldier says, मैं तो अपने वतन के लिए मरूंगा. He said, जंग मर के नहीं, जंग जीत के जी के जीती जाती है. दुश्मन को मार के जीती जाती है. And I get that's my philosophy that I kind of imbibed. And one of the things that I learned is that at the core, it's very simple, Sakshi. To live longer, you have to die later. Or I say to live longer, don't die early. And then you start thinking about it. Okay, now I don't want to die early. Uh, then what are the major causes by which people die? And when I brought it to a very, very reductive or a very simplistic level, and you look at all the actuarial data that you will get, the first major cause of death in India is heart attacks or disease of the heart, or what I call atherosclerosis, right? The second biggest cause is cancer. The third cause is respiratory disease. And the fourth cause is metabolic syndrome, all the lifestyle related challenges that we go through. And I said, okay, now I have a math problem to solve. Okay. So that's where you go deeper and understand the pathology or the biology of why heart attacks happen. Then you go and understand the pathology of cancer. Then you go and understand the pathology of respiratory. Then you understand what metabolic syndrome is. And then you realize at the core of it, it is very simple. I just have to do certain things to avoid I don't get a heart attack, to avoid I don't get cancer, to avoid I don't die of respiratory disease, and to ensure I'm metabolically healthy and flexible. Which means, by and large, chances of you dying of these four major causes of death comes down dramatically. And then you have a chance that you will live longer, but more importantly, you will live longer, but you will thrive. And that's my outcome. I just don't want to live longer for my daughters. One of my big goals is I want to dance at my granddaughter's sangeet. I just don't want to be there sitting in a wheelchair and enjoying her sangeet. I want to be there in the stage and dance. But for that, the work starts today.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense, especially when you talked about asking the question of, how much longer are you willing to live for your children? Because especially for parents and also for dads particularly, it has become a thing that sacrifice is love. And in the end, no matter whatever they're doing, their health is what is getting sacrificed because of their personal priorities or their work priorities or their priorities for their family. When we talk about taking care of our family, it's usually more about the financial side. It's about getting the next promotion, getting the car, getting our all the luxury for the families, and health always goes on a toss, right? So at least, I mean, I'm not generalizing, but I see my father, I see my friends' parents, and that's the most important priority for them. And when time comes that you have no other option is when they have to start working on it. So that's very true for a lot of parents.
And it's okay, Sakshi. Yeah, it's okay. And I tell that to my daughters as well. There is a certain time will come when you will give health the priority. And the reason for that is different. I'll give you a very interesting story. You watched the movie Titanic,
Yes.
right? So, a biggest disaster, right? But do you know that before the Titanic went and hit the iceberg, the Titanic got two warnings that you are getting into the iceberg. And the first warning came about 45 minutes before they hit, and the second came about 30 minutes before. But the Titanic still was speeding very fast. The reason was there was a certain, calm in the water, which gave them a false sense of security, because of which the Titanic was speeding ahead and ignored all the warnings. It's the same with the youth today, your generation, because you have a sense of calm. You think the waters are calm. You are feeling great. It is difficult for you to slow down. You will always feel your one extra beer, one extra cake, one extra coke, one cigarette. How does it matter? And I am feeling okay. And you are right. At that point of time, your body, like the Titanic, is giving you a false sense of security. At some point of time, this will compound where you will realize, now, I guess something is off, and that's where you will get serious. But again, it will come back to how strong is your why? How strong do you want to live longer?
Absolutely. That makes so much sense. And I would say that thankfully, my generation people, I mean, most of them are now getting more aware of, being more careful about their health and well being. At least, many of them are working out. They are taking care of their diet at some level. They are investing in supplements. They're doing a lot of things, right? Because of people like you who are leading by example and, teaching us the right ways. But what would you say? This is the next question is for the people who are in their late 40s or their 50s. When they listen to such episodes or speakers like you or anybody talking about longevity, they might have this feeling that I'm already late. I mean, I'm in my
Yeah.
50s. I've lived 50 years doing the wrong thing. What are you saying? Like, is it even possible for me to reverse some of those things? Or is it too late for me to begin? So for them, what would be your top five longevity hacks that probably are not too expensive, not too tech oriented, that they can begin in their 50s and it would actually have a greater impact on their life right now?
So, one, I will give them my example, and I'll give you a data point. Uh, the way our body works is, through damage, our DNA goes through a DNA damage, which results in aging. To give you an analogy, if you have a DVD player, every time you cause a damage, there is a scratch on the DVD. Your aging is nothing but the number of scratches on the DVD. Okay. And today science has figured out a way to measure those scratches. So I keep saying that we all have two ages, something called as a chronological age, the age that you see in your Aadhaar card or in your passport. And then there is something called as a biological age or an inner age or a true age, which is your age from within. Right. Most of us have a sense in terms of, are we younger than our current age? Are we older? You look at the mirror, you will get a sense, right? Your wrinkles on the skin, etc. But now science has figured out a way to measure them through a technology called DNA methylation. So about 2.5 years back, when I was 49 years of age, I went and got myself tested in the US. My biological age, my age from within when I was 49 was 54. So I was 5 years older from within. Okay. Of course, it's not a great thing to know. It was a little bit depressing. I was upset, angry, but then I realized it's a great thing. At least now I know how bad I am, and I can do something about it. And then I started at the age of 49, and I started doing certain things which we will talk probably, hopefully later. And then I measured myself about a year back, when I was about 6 months back, when I was 51. Uh, with 2 years of protocol, my biological age had come down from 54 to 37.
Wow.
So to answer your question, two things. The best time to do something was yesterday. The next best time is today. And we were talking about youth, and when you said your generation is extremely now getting savvy with respect to what to put in your mouth, to exert themselves, do exercising, and I give credit to them, because the best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. And at youth, you have that advantage. At my age, I may not have that advantage, but that does not mean I have a disadvantage. I'll give you one more statistics, probably will blow your people's mind. And this is about exercising. So there was a university in US. They took people who were 93 years and older, okay? And they got them to do strength training. It is lifting weights in a gym, 93 years and older. In 12 weeks' time, 12 weeks' time, they saw their muscle mass and improvement in their muscle went up by between 30% and 170%.
Wow.
This is people at the age of 93. So yeah, I can only humbly submit, yeah, you are not late at all. But if you don't start today, with every day you are losing a small opportunity to make a difference. And again, it comes back to the why. I will do anything to live one day longer for with my daughters, to spend those time with them and my granddaughters. How do you value that? If you value that, you will start doing something today. And it need not be too much. You start very small. So I don't think I can put a time frame when somebody should start. वो बोलते हैं ना सब जब जागो तब सवेरा. And if people at the age of 93 could do it, we probably can do it as well.
Absolutely, and the mindset matters so much, especially like you said, to identify your why. Because even if you ask some people, do you want to live to be 100 years old? They'd be like, no ways. Why would I want to be 100? And we can in a wheelchair, like you said earlier, right? But that whole perception will change once they see such success stories, once they see people actually living through that goal, right? So that's amazing. And to talk about the next question is that, what are some of the Indian health myths that you've heard going around, over the years, that the lies that we've been told, and sometimes even by doctors, right? Like, I mean, one of the things is that whenever someone gets diabetes, and unfortunately, this is the case in every single family, we will have one person in our family. It's our parents or grandparents or our uncle and aunt, who have never worked out, nothing like that, but they will only start working out or just walking once they have diabetes, and the doctor has said that now you have to go for the walk. And they have never had that fitness culture growing up, right? Like, you've never seen them work out when you were growing up, but that's what they start doing. But what are some of the myths around health and about exercise and nutrition that are very common, that you see people living through decades, it's doing nothing for them, but they should definitely stop doing this, and believing in these myths?
So let me give you one or two myths per protocol. So I keep telling people that your foundation of a better health or longevity starts with sleep. right? And the biggest myth that I have heard is, yeah, I'll sleep when I die. We humans are the only species in the world that undersleeps, but more importantly, takes pride in undersleeping. You will often hear somebody saying, "यार मैं 2 घंटा सोया था, but आज मैं वापस काम पे आ गया." You will often, I have a friend who will come up for our Sunday runs, and I train for half marathon, and he will say, "यार, I slept for 3 hours, but I am here." And I just feel sorry for them. Sleeping for anything less than 7 to 8 hours is uh, I would say it's like a nuclear bomb inside your body every single night. Being a finance person, I can tell you that you can repay financial debt, but you cannot repay sleep debt. There is no single biological function that gets accelerated with sleep. If you are going to undersleep, uh, first, your memory, your learning, your creativity goes down.
Right.
Number two, your immunity goes down. Number three, your craving, your hunger goes up. You will eat wrong foods. You will become obese. You will be diabetic. Sleep protects you from heart diseases. Sleep protects you from cancer. Sleep protects you from Alzheimer disease. There is not one biological function that does not get a massive acceleration when you give your body 7 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep. And yet, the biggest myth I have heard is sleep is unnecessary. If it is unnecessary, why did Mother Nature preserve it for over 3 billion years and still makes us sleep one third of our life? So, on sleep, this is one very big myth that I have heard. When it comes to nutrition, I guess it's a I don't even know where to start. I think probably I can write a Bible on the myths that we have on nutrition. The biggest, or some of them being, fat makes you fat. Fat cannot make you fat, right? The wrong fats will make you fat. So when you have too much of vegetable oil, it makes you fat. When you have too much of ghee, it doesn't make you fat because ghee is a fat burner. When you have too much of sugar, processed maida, bread, cake, cookie, that makes you fat. So one big myth that I have seen is that. Second myth in nutrition, I did a very big post on LinkedIn which got a lot of attention, was that you need to eat animals to get your protein. You need to have eggs to get your protein. No, 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 no. All vegetarians, I'm 100% vegetarian. You have enough sources of protein as long as you eat a diverse diet of lots of vegetable, lots of nuts, lots of pulses. You have your milk, your paneer. You get all kinds of protein. A vegetarian gets more protein than a non-vegetarian gets. The problem with non-vegetarian is when you end up eating too much of meat thinking this is real protein, you sacrifice on vegetables, which is bad. You Every time you eat red meat, you are increasing saturated fat. That is what is going to lead to heart attacks. So that's another myth that I kind of try to break. When you give your body a lot of glucose, blood glucose, body will convert it into fat and store it. When you give fat to the body, it accelerates a lot of hormonal development and then stores it. Protein, again, a myth that people don't understand, is extra protein body cannot store,
Right.
and that protein will be secreted out in the morning. And hence, just because you are eating too much of protein does not mean it is good. No, if you can't use that protein, your body will secrete it every single day. So some of very interesting myths that I learned during my course at Stanford. One very big myth, which even today our doctors in India talk about, is that there is something called as a good cholesterol and there is something called as a bad cholesterol.
Right.
I laugh. There is no such thing as a good cholesterol or as a bad cholesterol. Every cell in our human body, so we have 38 trillion cells. Every single cell, the membrane of the cell, which is the protective layer which will allow things to enter and to leave, it plays the role of a bouncer, is made of cholesterol. Cholesterol plays a role in hormone development. And there is enough literature which says no cholesterol, no life. Cholesterol is not bad. All cholesterol is only good. Within cholesterol, the second myth that we hear is that dietary cholesterol is bad. No. The body needs so much of cholesterol. Body does not want to depend on you and me, Sakshi, to make or give them cholesterol from the food. Body makes its own cholesterol. So the cholesterol that you get from eating the yolks of the eggs is not bad. It does not increase your cholesterol that you measure in your blood test. What you
True.
measure in your blood test is the cholesterol made by your body. So dietary cholesterol has no meaning whatsoever. Very little of the dietary cholesterol your body can actually use. The third important thing regarding cholesterol, which causes heart disease, is it is not the cholesterol that results in the blockage of arteries. It is the transportation of cholesterol. Where
Right.
is the cholesterol headed to? When your doctor gives you a test to measure your cholesterol and your LDL, which they term as bad cholesterol, comes high, and your doctor says all hell breaks loose and you have a risk of heart disease, it is measuring the cholesterol. It is not measuring where the cholesterol is headed to. For that, you need to measure something called as LDL particle or ApoB particles, which unfortunately very few diagnostic lab kind of measures, and your doctor measures that. So I think that's also one of the myths that I have heard. And the last myth, or there are hundreds of myths when it comes to exercise, especially coming to women. Uh, they don't want to lift weights. They don't want to strength train because they think they will bulk up.
Right.
You don't bulk up. I have strength training for 15 years. Do you see any ounce of muscle in my? No. Building muscle mass going to the gym is not easy. But when you lift weight, you are not just building muscle mass, you are building muscle strength and muscle power. Now, let me blow your audience. Not at your age, but at our age. After the age of 35 or 40, you lose 1% muscle mass every year. Okay? Number two, you lose 3 times more muscle strength every year than muscle mass, which means you can't open the jar when you will grow older. When you're in a flight, you cannot lift your bag and put it in the overhead compartment. Number three, you lose 8 times muscle power than muscle mass every year, which means you can't walk down the stairs. You can't walk up because all of that will require power in your muscles.
Right.
Only way, the only way you can protect yourself is by building muscles by lifting heavy. You don't need to go to the strength, but do your push-ups, do your squats. Because if you don't build muscle, for women especially, osteoporosis, which is a disease of the bones, 75% happens in women. Now let me share one more statistic with you. After the age of 65, if you fall and if you fracture your femur or your hip, the chances of you dying within 12 months is 70%.
Yeah.
70% women die within 12 months of a fall after the age of 65. The only thing that will prevent you from this is muscle.
Right.
So, my request through this podcast to every listener, women, irrespective of age, is please lift heavy. You will not bulk up. And there are myths and myths and myths and myths and myths. Muscle is an organ of longevity.
Absolutely, and you would see so many people keep talking about building a muscle mass, going to the gym, strength training, and sometimes the audience reaches a point where they're like, "Kitna bataoge?" Matlab, like we're tired of it, we know it, but they're still not doing it because this is quite an interesting myth that women do have, right? Like they don't want to look that certain way. But you might have seen this quote surfing around lately: is that I'm not preparing for my bikini body, but I'm preparing for my old lady body, because that's what we
But that,
missed out
no,
on.
Sakshi, but that's the advantage of muscles. You will absolutely look good naked. Not just women, but men also. Great motivator, right? Everybody wants to look very good when they are wearing clothes. Why not? The only way you will look good is by building muscle.
Absolutely. And we do forget about how it's gonna, replicate in our life later, in the way that you said that our grip strength is so important. We would not be able to like hold on to things, to lift things up, even smaller things, to open things up when we're older. And right now it seems like nothing, but that point will come into our life sometime if you don't work on it right now, right? And also the fact about balance. I mean, even I see my grandmother who is just in her early 60s, who cannot stand up on her own, or who cannot walk to the door on her own without support. And people often forget how much strength training, strengthening your muscles, would is going to replicate in those years when you would find doing daily tasks so difficult, but it won't be the case if you start training from now. So that's very true. And also,
You Sakshi, put a very important point just now when you said balance. So today I strength train 3 to 4 days a week. One day is dedicated to stability
right,
or core. And that stability is only for one thing, which is balance, balance, balance. Every single fall later in life happens because of misbalance.
right.
Uh, so 100% right. I am very surprised you spoke about balance.
Absolutely. And coming to that, the next one is going to be very interesting to know about what does a week of training in your life look like? What does a week of workout? What is the schedule that you usually follow? And also, what are some basic things that you have in your mind in terms of nutrition? Do you meal plan? What are some, like 5 pointers that you have in your mind that around which you plan in nutrition?
Okay. So first, let's look at training, right? And I did a reel on this, and I used Rahul Dravid as an example because this is a question that I often get. Yeah, I don't have time. If I have to do either strength training or cardio, what should I do? And I tell them, yeah, let's say you are Rahul Dravid, you have to go and play Australia in the World Cup final. You have to choose either batsman or bowler. Who would you choose? You can't. Both are important. Both serve different purposes. Cardio works on your uh, cardio, which is your heart, and your pulmonary system, which is your lungs. And there is an importance to that when as you are growing older from a longevity standpoint. So I do 3 days a week of cardio. Not just me, but some of the best athletes in the world spend 70 to 80% of the time doing cardio in what we call as zone 2, which is low intensity cardio. What do I mean by low intensity cardio? And a lot of people sometimes ask me that is walking exercise. And I say it depends. If you are walking at a speed by which your heart rate is not going up and you are not sweating and you are having a comfortable conversation with your friend, it is not exercise. But if you are walking at a pace, I don't decide the pace, you decide the pace. But at that pace, your heart rate goes up, you are sweating, you are little breathing out of your mouth. You can just about hold the conversation with your friend. That is exercise. That is zone 2. So for some, zone 2 could come as way of walking. For some, it's jogging. Some for swimming, cycling. Take your poison. Increase your heart rate at least twice in that zone 2. Zone 2 is where you are at almost 60% of your HR max. Uh, one day a week, I do what I call as high intensity training. For me,
Right.
usually that's a Tuesday. I go to the track in Bandra where I have a personal trainer who will push me very hard. So I generally do a kilometer there at about 4 minutes 30 seconds, where I'm really pushing myself, but I can't do that for 1 hour, 1.5 hours. That's a 30-minute session. So that's my cardio routine. As far as strength training is concerned, I do 3 to 4 times a week. And in that 3 to 4 times a week, uh, at different stages of my life, I'm working on different things. Sometimes I'm working on something called as hypertrophy, where I'm trying to build muscle mass. Sometimes I'm working on muscle strength. Sometimes I'm working on muscle power. Again, don't complicate it. Very simple. Just go to the gym or inside your home, lift heavy, lift your groceries, lift your backpack when you are going. When you are at the airport, don't drag your briefcase, carry your briefcase and stuff like that. But lift heavy. You can't go to the gym, do squash, do your push ups. 30 push ups, great, enough. Do squats, do weighted squats, anything you can do. But I do 2 to 3 weeks of strength training, but I do rigorous strength training. I know what my one rep max is for every exercise, and then I try to be in that 70 to 75% of my one rep max when I'm doing. And in weight training or strength training, there is one thing that all your listeners should be aware of. This is your principal law of weight training, a concept called progressive overload.
Right.
Every week you should add at least 1% of your load. So let's say if I am doing a 50 kg bicep curls or bicep reps. Next week, I will add 1% to this. Or after 2 weeks, I will add 2 to 3%. Or after a month, I will add 5% to this. Because if you are not progressively overload, your muscles are not getting fatigued or contracting enough for you to build strength in that. So that's what I do. Two other things that I do, uh, which is I do sauna 3 to 4 times a week. Sauna is very, very important. It mimics light intensity, moderate exercises, but in many ways it activates something called as your heat shock protein, the brown fat, which helps in fat burning. Also, it helps me in my sleep. So I do 30 minutes of sauna 3 to 4 times a week at 90 degrees. Not that people need to do for 30 minutes at 90. You can start with low intensity. And also, I take cold shower at least 3 to 4 weeks after my sauna, 5 kgs of ice in a bucket, absolutely chilling water, and I take a shower with it. So these are some of my health exercise protocols, actually.
Amazing. These are really interesting, especially the sauna bit, because let me tell you that most people living in, societies that have gyms in a society, a lot of them would have a sauna in it. But it's the most, like, it's the least used facility in the society. Like in my society also there's a sauna, but it's always shut. Nobody is going in there. Nobody knows how to use it, first of all, but they're also not making use of it and it's just sitting there, right? So that's something very easy
So,
to do.
uh, no, Sakshi, you are right. A lot of buildings don't have. For people who don't have access to sauna and cold shower, I have a protocol which you can do. I am sure most people will have a geyser in their home. So take a very hot bath,
Right.
uncomfortable. The key, whether it is sauna or cold shower, it needs to be very uncomfortable. You are creating adversity, and all the body has an inbuilt mechanism to fight this adversity, right? So what happens is when you take a very hot shower, body internally, the heat shock proteins will go and protect you. The body's
Right.
first mechanism is I want to protect. So you can activate it through a hot shower. You don't need to go to a sauna, and vice versa. After your hot shower, immediately take a cold shower, get some ice. You can make ice in your refrigerator and take a ice bath along with your cold shower. That also kind of works.
Right, and of course, I mean, people who have, seen videos or read books of Wim Hof, it doesn't even have to be like ice cold in the beginning. You can ease into it. You can just simply start with a 1 minute normal cold shower to finish with, even if it gives you that a little shock of that cold water on your body, right? You can begin there. So that's really amazing to
True.
know. And thing I wanted to add to the cardio bit is that this time excuse that a lot of us have, that I don't have enough time in the week, I mean, that is just too old now, because you don't even have to work out for 1 hour every single day, according to so many of these new researches. We recently had Dr. Sean on the podcast, who talks a lot about visceral fat, right, and about hit workouts or sprinting as a workout. And it doesn't even have to be an hour long, but if you don't have the time, if you simply begin with just 10 minutes of movement every single day and probably split it into 3 parts of your day, it gets very easy to do, right? And you can literally just go on a treadmill and do it at your own level, start slowly, but for 30 seconds you are just walking at a slow pace, and for the next 30 seconds you are, like, running or brisk walking as fast as you can, and just alternate it for 10 minutes, and that's it, you have a workout for yourself. And you can really begin small over here. So
I don't think it's a time issue. I think it's more a belief issue and a why issue. Because as I said, if your why is strong, if and all behavior is belief driven, if you believe that exercise is really good for you, you will figure out a way to get the 10-15 minutes here. So I think time is more an excuse, but I think they are missing the why, the motivation.
absolutely. That makes so much sense. And coming to nutrition, what are some of the top, 5 things on your mind that you have every single week or every single day around which you curate your nutrition?
So yeah, when it comes to nutrition, and I have done work on this, and it's the most confusing thing on planet Earth. Uh, the first thing I will want to talk to your audience about is there is no such thing as a perfect diet. Okay. Uh, Whatever diet works for you, what is a diet that you can adhere to? Adherence plays a very important role when it comes to nutrition, is your diet. right? Because what happens is whenever you try to move into a diet which you can't adhere to over a longer period of time, you will come back. We call it as reversal to the mean. And then what happens is everything begins to crack. So my point, the first thing I tell people is follow a diet that you can adhere to. Rather than telling people what to eat, I can probably go in a duration where I will say what to avoid. Because it's easy to delete than to add, because everybody has their personal choices. If I will say add up green vegetable nahi acha lagta hai, fruit ka nahi acha lagta, for example, right? So some of the things that I think there is enough scientific evidence now to prove that these are not good for you, and I am a very big proponent of them. First is sugar. I will tell people eat less sugar. I personally say kill sugar because sugar kills. And I will also add to that, sugar does not mean just table sugar. All your starchy foods, whether it is your maida, your bread, your cakes, your cookies, your nashta, your biscuits, your potatoes, your rice, your wheat, your grains. These are all starch. Starch has a very high component of sugar in them. Reduce them. So one, no sugar or less sugar. Zero alcohol or very less alcohol. Uh, Studies after studies after studies after studies, alcohol has no benefit. Third, what I am wearing, don't smoke. But it has not to do with nutrition. It has to do with addiction. Also, the damage it causes, which also has different impacts on that. Uh, Fourth thing I will say is eat less often. Okay, our problem is when I look at nutrition, I ask one question, very simple: are you undernourished or overnourished?
Right.
My sense is I'm yet to meet a person who's undernourished in my life, except if you are very poor. That's different. Everybody is overnourished, which means you need to reduce.
Right.
So you eat less often, and the best way to eat less often is one, to add up on your protein and good fats.
Right.
Why? When you add more protein and good fat, you will feel a lot more fuller. Your satiety hormone called leptin levels rise,
Right.
which will help you avoid snacking. Because in India, I always say your biggest enemy when it comes to nutrition is your 4 to 6 p.m. period. Because you always begin the day with a lot of motivation. You will do all things right till lunch. Because circadian rhythm, you are very motivated. Because you've done a lot of things right in the morning, then you become overconfident and arrogant. Come
True.
3 o'clock, 3:31, you are feeling a little hungry. Second, you tell yourself, yaar, pura din to thik kiya. And that's between 4 and 6, that samosa, that sandwich, that chips, that biscuit with chai, is what destroys all the good work that you've done. And then you destroy it further by getting into dinner and eating wrong things in dinner. The easiest way is when you add up on your protein and on your good fat, you will avoid snacking. And I keep telling people, every time you think you are hungry, have a glass of water. Most of the time it is not hunger, but it is thirst. And you will realize after having a glass of water, after 15 minutes, you still feel hungry. Yes, please, for all means, go and eat something. But avoid processed, avoid chips, bhujia, biscuit, samosa, sandwich, bhel, sev puri, vada pav. Eat makhana, eat nuts, eat cheese. More fuller also gives you a lot of advantage. But I am a very big proponent also, Sakshi, of taking diet breaks.
Right.
If you love your sandwich, if you love your sev puri, if you love your vada pav, if you love your samosa, if you love your puchka or pani puri, have it once or twice a week.
True.
Because if you suppress your cravings a lot, it will bounce back in a manner that you can't control.
True.
I, once a week, will have pani puri. I love my puchka. I'm from Calcutta. I live in Bombay though. Once a week, I will love to have my dosa.
Right.
But because my body knows that once a week I will get my puchka, once a week it knows I will get my dosa. it is a lot more kinder to me on the rest of the time.
Exactly. Makes so much sense, and these are some really, easy tips to think about and to keep in our mind. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. We all know this somewhere or the other, but we keep forgetting it. We keep being, not in discipline with it. So that makes so much sense. Thank you for sharing that with us. And this brings us to the end of the episode today. Lastly, as cliche as the New Year, New Me term sounds, it's true. I mean, every New Year is an opportunity for us to do something, and for some or the other reason we have that motivation, so why not use it? So what would you say are some things that this new year people should definitely consider, no matter what age they should definitely begin with when they want to focus more on their health and well?
There are two things I will say. And one thing is the first one is the easiest thing. And I have this saying that getting healthy is simple but not easy. This is one of those protocols, and that is please, 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 in 2024, sleep for 8 hours. I am not saying what time to sleep. I am saying whatever time you want to wake up minus 8 hours sleep. Give yourself 8 hours of sleep and 80% of the time.
True.
Please party on your Friday, please party on your Saturday. I don't have a problem. But at least on the rest of the 5 days a week, sleep for 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours. And yeah, uspe chori mat karna. Don't try to kind of, be cute about that is my first protocol. And second is a protocol I am personally looking forward to implementing and mastering is this, new book I am just reading is Breathe Through Your Nose. Not many of us remember or understand the ill effects of breathing through the mouth.
True.
A lot of your problems in your life, whether it is hypertension, whether it is respiratory distress, whether it is cold and cough, a lot of that has to do with mouth breathing. This is a subject which is almost 2 months old for me. And, for me, 2023 was all about learning about cancer. I read some 4 or 5 incredible books, understood the pathology of cancer. For me, 2024 is going to be all about learning about breathing, whether it is nasal breathing, whether it is mouth taping, whether it is inhaling, exhaling from one side of the nose, whether it is slow breathing, whether it is chewing, all of this, understanding this unique piece. Um, about that. So I would request people try and see if you can, breathe from your nose more often than not, and your family as well. So two very simple things to do where you don't need to go to the gym, where you don't need to think about what to put in your mouth. You don't need to take cold shower or hot shower. These are two simple things: sleep and breathe. I hope people will do that.
Absolutely. And for the ones who are not too big on reading, I hope that they reach out to you. Your links to the Instagram and LinkedIn are in the description below. And I'm sure that we will get to learn a lot more directly from you, from your amazing posts, your articles, and videos directly through you about your new learnings about breath work and a lot more. So I'm really looking forward to it myself. And I hope our listeners reach out to you as well. As we conclude the episode, do you have any last messages or thoughts to leave us with?
No, yeah, all I will tell people is all behavior is belief driven. If you have a strong why, you will figure out the how. I think each one of us, this is my personal view, owe it to our kids that we live longer. We don't want them to support us as we move forward. We want to be their support forever in our life. And we want to create incredible memories for them. And for that, each one of us will have to not just live longer, but live healthier and disease free. We don't want to die from diseases, we want to die with diseases. So, wishing all your listeners a very happy and a healthy 2024.
Absolutely. That's a lovely thought to take with us as we enter the new year, and a great why to begin with our journey. So, thank you so much once again, Mr. Prashant, to be here today. That's it for today's episode. I am Sakshi Pawar, and I'll be your host for the Settle or Be Better podcast. So stay tuned, I'll be bringing more inspiring stories. You know the drill. Subscribe to the Settle or Be Better podcast, like, share, and comment on our videos. And oh, hit the bell icon because you don't want to miss the mind boggling health discussions we're about to bring for you. Why settle when you can be better?